13-year-old Madeleine went missing during a family holiday in Portugal in 2007. Her parents were initially questioned as suspects.
After 17 long years, Madeleine McCann has finally been found, and the world is in shock. Her disappearance from that Portuguese resort seemed like it would never be solved. Now, with this unexpected news, there's a new sense of hope and relief. Could this be the answer everyone has been waiting for all these years? We will dive into the incredible details of this long-awaited discovery that will bring you new faith in humanity. What really happened in Praia da Luz? Portuguese police are deep into investigating the disappearance of a 3-year-old girl, Madeleine McCann. She vanished from a holiday apartment, and now law enforcement teams from 3 countries are pooling their resources to solve this baffling case. This incident occurred 17 years ago and grabbed headlines worldwide due to its troubling and complex nature. Madeleine was last spotted at a tourist resort in Praia da Luz, Portugal, while her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, were dining nearby with friends. The little girl was taken right out of her bed, igniting a widespread search operation and heavy media coverage that's still active. Over the years, countless theories, supposed sightings, and investigative attempts have come up, yet nothing has cleared up the situation. Recently, a clue surfaced linking Madeleine's case to another unsolved case, suggesting they might be dealing with a larger criminal operation. Before we reveal the details, it's evident that this discovery is far more disturbing than anyone anticipated. And trust us, this isn't the only twist that will leave you stunned. To fully appreciate the importance of this case, we must consider its profound effect not only on her family, but on people around the globe. Around 10 at night, Kate McCann realized her daughter was missing, which set off immediate alarm and a massive search throughout the resort area. Despite quick action, there was no trace of her, marking the beginning of a long and difficult period for everyone involved. This case drew attention from all corners of the world, with international media covering every single development. There was an outpouring of public sympathy, but also considerable criticism. Some questioned the wisdom of the McCanns leaving their children alone, sparking various speculations about what might have happened. Initially, Portuguese police speculated that she might have simply wandered off or been abducted by a passerby. But as the investigation unfolded, it took a darker turn when the suspicion temporarily fell on the McCanns themselves. They were eventually cleared, which significantly shifted the direction of the investigation as time continued to tick by. Over the years, many leads and ideas have surfaced, from reported sightings of Madeleine in different countries to wild theories about her being swept up in illegal trafficking networks. Private detectives were brought in, governments became involved, and even psychics offered their insights. In 2011, Portuguese police decided to reopen the case, and shortly after, the UK's Scotland Yard started their own review, named Operation Grange. Despite a lot of time, effort, and resources thrown into the search, no concrete evidence has ever been found. One of the most frustrating aspects of this case has been the multitude of dead-end leads. Every so often, a new development would pop up, lifting hopes, a sighting here, a child resembling her there, new suspects being interrogated, or forensic tests being reanalyzed. Each time, hope would flare up, only to be extinguished when the lead fizzled out. Throughout all these challenges, the McCann family never lost faith that their daughter was still out there. They held on to hope, even as the world seemed to forget and move on. Now, nearly 2 decades later, the possibility that she might have been found is both shocking and incredibly significant. The thought that, after so many years, the truth might finally come to light brings mixed feelings: relief, sadness, and apprehension. Relief at the potential for closure, sadness over the years that were lost, and apprehension that this new lead might end up going nowhere. The recent spark of hope comes from the identification of Christian Bruckner, a German currently in jail for another crime. Bruckner, a convicted offender with a history of criminal activities across Europe, was living in the Algarve at the time Madeleine disappeared. Since this discovery, investigators have focused on his potential involvement, digging into his past and actions during that period, hoping to finally find the missing piece of this long-standing problem. A new clue has emerged, pointing them closer to the truth. The case has been a roller coaster, with each new bit of information bringing a brief glimmer of hope, followed by disappointment. The emotional strain has been tough to bear, But the drive to edge closer to the truth keeps everyone going. Could this be the concluding chapter of a narrative that has stretched out for so long? Or just another twist in a story that refuses to conclude? When all hope seemed lost, a new suspect appeared, giving a fresh clue. This could be the break everyone needed. The suspect who changed everything. Recent findings have placed Bruckner very close to the spot where Madeleine was last seen on the night she disappeared. In 2020, German authorities officially named him as a suspect. However, building the case and gathering enough evidence to link him to her disappearance has been an arduous process. This breakthrough in the investigation is crucial as it includes very convincing evidence. Reports suggest that Bruckner may have hinted to acquaintances about his involvement in her abduction. Additionally, phone records show he received a call in Praia da Luz on the night she went missing, further linking him to the incident. Investigators are now thoroughly examining places linked to Bruckner in both Portugal and Germany, searching for any physical evidence of Madeleine or clues that tie him to the disappearance. For those who have been following this case closely, identifying this new suspect represents the first strong lead in years. Bruckner's criminal background, his proximity to the scene, and indirect evidence all strongly suggest he could be the person responsible for her disappearance. But even with these promising signs, there is still a long road ahead. Proving someone's guilt in cases like this requires a lot of solid evidence. Without a body or clear forensic proof, securing a conviction will be challenging. Absolutely, the chance of discovering her or catching the person who took her has shifted our focus on this case. It's made everyone across the globe stop and think about the far-reaching effects of her disappearance and what we've learned about child kidnappings, police work, and how the media can sway what people think. If she's found, or if we figure out who took her, it'll really show us the challenges we face with investigations that cross borders. For instance, in the early days, there wasn't much teamwork between the police in Portugal and the UK, which caused a bunch of problems. They had issues because they spoke different languages, their legal systems didn't match up, and they just did things differently, which led to delays and missed opportunities. This has really taught us how crucial it is to work together internationally, especially when it comes to urgent cases like missing kids. But that's not even the biggest issue. If it turns out Bruckner did it, people are going to wonder if he could have been caught sooner if these obstacles weren't in the way. The media's role in all this has also been huge. Right from the start, her story has been all over the news worldwide, and every little update has been watched closely by people everywhere. This just goes to show how powerful the media can be in shaping both how the public sees things and the direction investigations go. The media has been all over her disappearance, and this constant spotlight has had its ups and downs. On the good side, it kept the case out there in the public eye. People all over the world have seen campaigns like the Find Madeleine posters, which got really well known. However, there's a downside to all this attention. The intense focus by the media led to a ton of rumors and exaggerated stories. The parents got a lot of flack, with some news outlets spreading false info that really hurt their reputations and caused them a lot of emotional pain. When there was news that their daughter might have been found, it was a roller coaster of emotions. There was a bit of relief at the thought, but also so much pain from all those years of not knowing. Even if this news ends their wait, it's just the beginning of a long and hard process of healing. The family's hope keeps the search alive, but that's not the hardest part. The unshakable will of her parents, along with the global attention, has been critical in keeping the investigation moving. Their endless hope, supported by constant public backing, might just be what brings about justice. Her story underscores the importance of continuing the search for missing people, no matter how long they've been gone. As the search went deeper, it became clear that this case was about more than just one person. The story was changing, lessons from a long search. On a broader scale, this case has made people more aware of the dangers of child abduction. Her disappearance made many families rethink their own safety measures and brought more focus on the risk posed by traffickers and predators. If Christian Bruckner, the suspect, is found guilty, it could lead to stricter laws against those who commit violent acts and better tracking across countries. But there's more to it. Finding her could kickstart new conversations about justice for those missing for a long time. While the McCanns have had a lot of media attention, many other families aren't as lucky and struggle to keep their missing loved ones' cases in the public eye. Solving her case might boost support for other missing persons, encouraging more public involvement in these cases. Throughout this ordeal, one thing has become very clear. This case has shaped how people think about holding on to hope, even when the odds are against them. Hope has been kept alive through occasional sightings, new leads, and the relentless determination of her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann. Their belief that she might still be alive has fueled the search and shaped how they've handled everything over the years. Having the world's eyes on the McCann family during their ordeal has been both a blessing and a curse. The emotional burden of being under such constant scrutiny for so long is unimaginable. While public interest in high-profile cases like this is important, it also brings significant risks. The massive media attention the McCanns have faced was necessary to keep her case in the public eye, but it also made them targets of endless speculation and, at times, unfair accusations. Sadly, parents of missing children often become suspects just because they are close to the situation. The idea that a parent could do such a terrible thing is something most people don't even want to think about, which often leads to more emotional than logical discussions. In the case of her disappearance, the media frenzy that erupted after she went missing ensured her face and story were known worldwide, which improved the chances that she might be recognized anywhere. This kind of global attention is rare in missing person cases and kept her story in the news much longer than most, which usually disappear quickly. But this wasn't the worst part. The tabloid-style reporting unleashed a flood of mistakes, rumors, and speculations that were taken as facts. This created confusion, misled the investigation, and made finding the truth much harder. The sensational way the media covered the McCann case, filled with wild theories and baseless claims, created a mess of misinformation that made it even tougher to figure out what can have a say in ongoing investigations. This can sometimes lead to useful tips, but also risks burying important information under a mountain of noise. The global scope of Madeleine's search also showed how different police practices can be from country to country. Initially, the Portuguese police were criticized for not acting quickly enough to alert international authorities about her disappearance. Later, the British police faced their own challenges when they stepped in to help with the investigation. Even after all that, the problems didn't stop. The way the Portuguese and British police worked was quite different, which often caused some tension. This sometimes led to delays and misunderstandings. Over the years, this case really highlighted the desperate need for better teamwork across borders and more effective ways to handle cases where people go missing, especially when it involves more than one country. A new suspect stepping forward just added to the deep challenges. When kids are taken across borders, the complications just keep growing. Police forces from different countries often find it tough to collaborate effectively because they operate under different laws, speak different languages, and prioritize different aspects of investigations. The McCann case really put these issues out in the open, resonating deeply with families who have also lost children. Though there have been some improvements in how countries work together, the ongoing challenges in cracking this case serve as a strong reminder that we really need to beef up our systems to quickly find missing kids, wherever they might be taken. The latest clues brought everyone closer to the truth. It felt like the answers were finally within reach, chasing the truth across borders. But that wasn't the only new twist. Recently, the entry of German authorities into the investigation, with a focus on Christian Bruckner as a suspect, has thrown a fresh spotlight on how different countries deal with old cases of missing persons. The involvement of Germany, focusing on Bruckner, has breathed new life into the investigation. But it also makes you wonder why he wasn't on the radar as a suspect earlier. When you look back, it seems like the signs were there all along. His criminal record, his presence in the area when Madeleine disappeared, and his actions afterward. But the challenges of tracking suspects who cross borders, especially those with connections in multiple countries, continue to be a major obstacle in solving cases like this. Right at the center of this complicated situation is a simple but deep question. What really happened to Madeleine McCann? Finding out that Christian Bruckner might be involved could give us some answers, but it's unlikely to clear up everything. Even if it turns out Bruckner was part of it, there's a good chance a lot of details will remain out of reach, and the full truth about what happened that night might never come to light. Not knowing what happened to someone you love can be incredibly tough for families in these situations. Sometimes it's even harder than dealing with the sad truth. The recent lead pointing to Christian Bruckner, a known criminal with a past filled with violent crimes, has sparked a lot of talk about justice, especially if it turns out he's responsible for Madeleine McCann's disappearance. His history of crimes and his travels across Europe highlight just how hard it is for the police to keep tabs on people like him once they're out of prison. The case of Madeleine McCann underscores the urgent need for stronger international systems to track and keep an eye on known criminals, especially those with a history of violent crimes against kids. Different countries have different ways of keeping track of violent criminals. Some watch them closely, while others barely keep an eye on them after they're set free. This inconsistency lets offenders move between countries without being noticed, making the police's job much tougher. If it turns out Bruckner is linked to Madeleine's disappearance, we're likely to see calls for changes in how violent criminals are monitored worldwide. His continued criminal behavior after being released from prison is a stark reminder of the risks posed by individuals who prey on vulnerable groups, raising questions about the effectiveness of current monitoring methods. But that's not all there is to this story. If they do solve this case, it could pave the way for handling future cases of missing persons, especially with all the tech advancements since Madeleine vanished. New tools like facial recognition and improved DNA testing have made a huge difference in law enforcement's ability to find missing people. International databases and artificial intelligence now offer opportunities that weren't available before, bringing new hope to many families still looking for their loved ones. The McCann family's relentless efforts to keep Madeleine's case in the public eye, using every platform available to seek answers, really show what determination looks like. Their ongoing actions have kept the investigation active and serve as an example for other families facing similar heartache. But there's even more to think about. The public's interest in Madeleine's case shows how powerful community support and international cooperation can be in tackling child abductions. The global network of concerned citizens plays a crucial role in keeping such cases in the spotlight. Recent advances in raising awareness and combating illegal trafficking are proof of how Madeleine's situation has spurred broader actions to protect kids and strengthen safety measures everywhere. As more details come out, feelings of hope and despair are often mixed. This case also exposes a deep human need for answers and truth. The pain of not knowing what happened to a child leaves a lasting impact on families, communities, and even whole countries. For the McCanns, the possibility of finally getting some answers after 17 years is filled with both hope and dread. In these kinds of situations, finding out the truth can be a relief and offer a chance for justice. But it also forces families to face the difficult realities of their circumstances. Was Madeleine McCann's disappearance really a tragic accident? Or is there something more hidden beneath the surface? Tell us what you think, and remember to like and subscribe for more.